What's up guys, Lexy Gavin-Mather here, and I am in Northern California at my favorite card room called the Casino Club, and I'm getting ready to play in a 5-5 game with a $20 rock. So it's essentially a 5-5-20 game. The game plays huge with that rock on, and we have like amazing, crazy action players here, so stay tuned. This is a juicy session, but make sure to hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out, and hit the notification bell to get notified every time I post a new video. Before I get into this session, I stopped at my favorite coffee shop here in Redding, super charming little place, got myself a coffee, and then went to a car show, an old car show, which is, fun fact, I actually really like old cars. Bet you didn't know that about me. Okay, let's jump into the session, and make sure to stick around to the end because the game takes a crazy twist and you're not gonna believe what happens. You're not gonna wanna miss it. Let's go. Okay, so here we are buying in for $2,200. The game looks amazing. There is a $20 rock in play. So whoever has the rock has position pre-flop, and the action always starts to the left of the rock. So here we look down at ace 10 of clubs. The hijack and the cutoff both limp in for $20. So we make it $100 on the rock. We bump it up. We want to isolate here. We are pretty certain we have the best hand considering they only limped in. So we make it 100 and they both fold. Okay, so here we have the rock again. We look down at black pocket tens, small blind limps, under the gun limps, and we make it 100 on the rock with our pocket tens here. UTG folds, but the small blind calls. We are going to see a flop heads up. Flop is 10-5-4, 2 hearts, 1 club. We flop top set. That is a great feeling. We're definitely going to be c-betting here. We can get value from hearts, straight draws, other, over pairs, things like that. Some middling pairs. But he actually ends up donk leading for $160, which is just the best thing we could possibly face. We're not messing around here. We decide not to slow play this, and we bump it up to $400. He shoves, we snap, and we win a massive pot. He got it in with top pair, top kicker to our set, and you can see this is a pretty large pot here. We were pretty deep, and I'm pretty excited. So yeah, looks like we scoop a massive, around $5,000 pot. We are starting the session off on a really good note here. 70. Okay, so here we are in the big blind with 9-6 of diamonds. The rock is the under the gun 1. Cutoff limps in for 20. The button limps as well. Small blind completes. And we check our option with the 9-6 of diamonds in the big blind. And the rock checks his option. So the flop is jack, ace, 6 with 2 clubs. We flop bottom pair here. And the action checks around. Our plan was to not invest any more money into this pot. However, the turn is the 9 of clubs, giving us 2 pair, but completing a flush. I'm not too worried about anyone really having a flush because the flop checked around, and I would imagine that someone would take a stab at it with a flush draw on the flop. So we bet $100. The cutoff calls, and we're heads up. The 10 of clubs on the river, not a very good card because there's now 4 cards to a flush here. The cutoff checks, and we quickly check back, and we end up losing to the king high flush. Here we look down at king of diamonds, jack of clubs. We have the rock, which means action starts to the left of us. The under the gun player raises it up to 60. The button calls, and it's only $40 more for us to call because we do have that $20 rock, so we end up making the call as well. And we are 3 ways to the flop. The flop is jack 9-5, 2 hearts. Action checks around. The under the gun player does not continuation bet, and we're going to see a turn. The 4 of hearts on the turn now bringing in the flush, but I definitely think we should be betting here for value to protect against our top pair here. We definitely don't want a 4th heart rolling, so we bet $90. The under the gun player calls and the button calls. 4 diamonds on the river. I still think that we need to go for a little bit of value here, so we go 160. I think we can get some value from some overpairs, and like I said, I'm not too worried about anyone having a flush because I think that the under the gun player would have continued with a flush draw, and once check 2, I think the other player would have bet a flush draw as well. We might value own ourselves, but sometimes that's going to happen. But the button ends up shoving in our face, and we have to make a fold. And especially since nobody raised my $90 bet on the turn, I, again, didn't think that anyone had a flush. Maybe they were slow playing a flush, but I think that it would be a mistake not to go for value there on the river, but let me know in the comments what you guys think. Okay, so here the action folds to us in the big blind. We make it 50 with the A7 because we have Bobby Boy who has the rock on our left. So we're definitely not gonna just fold to him. How could we ever do that? So we make it 50 and he calls. Fun fact, Bobby never folds when it's blind versus blind. He just defends like 100%. Versus me, not versus anybody, just versus me. The flop is 7-6-2, 2 diamonds, so we flop top pair, top kicker. And we bet $60 here, a little over half pot. I think we can get value from hands like 8-9, diamond combos, and some worse 7s, things like that. Plus, it's Bobby, so he's gonna just like call us with queen high and try to bluff us on the turn or something. He calls. The turn is the Jack of Hearts, so it doesn't really change anything other than the fact that we now don't have top pair, but it's not too much of a threatening card. There's no draws that completed. I decide to check now, slow down. I let him, I'm gonna give him the opportunity to bet. I'm probably not check folding, but like I said, there is a good chance that Bob's gonna try bluffing into me because he is going to be calling me pretty wide on the flop. Since there's some serious metagame between the two of us, he's always thinking that I'm bluffing. I always think that he's bluffing. I always say no friends at the poker table. I would check raise my grandmother. I would check raise my husband, but he checks behind. The river is the ace of spades, now giving us 2 pair. I bet $200 and he reluctantly folds. And he shows the deuce. Classic BTO.
Look at this dude. Wait till you see the player show. No.
Here we look down at ace queen off. I raised to 60 in the hijack, and the rock is the big blind, and he comes in for the call. The flop is jack 6-3, 2 spades, and we decide to c-bet here. We could check, but I thought that we're gonna get to take it down on the flop a lot. He shouldn't have too many floats on this flop, and if he doesn't have a pair, it's gonna be hard for him to call. If he has a hand like 4-5 suited, he's definitely gonna call, but he probably shouldn't have the offsuit combos of 4-5. So I think that this is a board that we're gonna continuation bet at a pretty high frequency. So we go 50, and he makes the call. 10 of hearts on the turn, now giving us a gut shot to Broadway. And our opponent shoves all in for $200. I go into the tank for a while. I know you guys are probably like, what, you have to snap fold, but remember that there is a $20 rock in the game, so it makes the effective stack shorter. So really this is just a 10 big blind shove, and we do have, 2 overs that could presumably be good if we do hit. Plus we have a gut shot, we could hit 4 kings. So this is a decision, but I definitely think we need to make the call here. Plus he could just have some flush draws. He can have some straight draws. Maybe he has it. Maybe he has a hand like 4-5. Maybe maybe he has hearts. There are 2 flush draws on the board now. Now there's 2 hearts and 2 spades. He could have had a hand like queen 9 of spades, maybe 8-9 of spades, 8-9 of hearts. So I think that there's a lot of bluffs that he can have. Plus our ace high might be good. So we end up making the call. And he ends up having king queen for the open-ended straight draw. And our ace high is good, and we scoop a nice one there. Coloring up. Color up, successful. Here we look down at ace queen off on the button. The rock is the under the gun player. The under the gun one player calls the 20, and we make it 80. The rock calls the 80 and the limper shoves for 200. Of course we have to call here. We're never putting in 80 to fold to 220. It's only 140 more for me to call, and again, the effective stacks are shorter when the rock is on. The rock calls as well. So there's 3 of us and 1 is all in. Flop is 8-9-3, 2 hearts, 1 diamond. So this was an annoying spot because I thought that the under the gun player had checked in the dark, but I guess he didn't. And I checked behind, and then he decided to bet. So kind of a weird thing that happened there, but he wound up betting, and I had to fold. Okay, here we look down at pocket queens. The rock is in the small blind. We make it 60 to go in the hijack. The rock calls, and we are heads up to the flop. It's important to note that the rock is a pretty aggressive, crazy, likes to play a lot of hands type of player. The flop is ace 10-5 rainbow. I decide to check the flop. You can c-bet here, but against a really aggressive player, it's better to just kind of put things in a pot control mode. And obviously I'm going to be calling a bet if he does in fact bet, if he ends up taking a stab on the turn. The turn is the 6 of spades. He checks again, and I check back. Now, I could have bet small here on the turn, but I think if the river goes check, check again, then that's when I'll go for some value. But the river is a king of hearts, not a good card for our hand because now we lose to all of his king combos, which I don't think he should have too many because we do block king, queen pretty heavily, and hands like ace, king might 3-bet pre-flop. But he decides not to bluff it, and it goes check, check. We win with our queens because he shows queen 4 of hearts. Here we look down at queen jack of hearts. I am in the small blind. The rock is on the button. We make it 60 to go, and the button calls. The flop is queen 10 king, 2 diamonds, 1 club, so we do have middle pair and an open-ended straight draw. I decide to give it a check. The button bets 40, and we're never giving up here, so we give it a call. The turn is the 5 of diamonds, which does bring in a flush here. And he just snap shoves all in here. I don't think we can make this call. We throw it away. He was nice enough to show us, and he does end up showing ace jack, so he did flop a straight. So since the game broke at the 5-5-20, I am now going to sit at the 1-3 and wait until the game gets back going. So have my chips still on the table over there and hopefully going to make a couple $100 at the 1-3. All right, so now everyone has downgraded their chip stacks. We're playing for what feels like peanuts after playing 5-5-20. But a grinder's got to do what a grinder's got to do. So there is no rock in this game. We look down on the button. We have ace 9 of hearts. It looks like there is a $6 straddle in early position. So I make it $40 on the button with the ace 9 of hearts. We get a bunch of callers, and we're 5 ways to the flop. The flop is ace 8-4 rainbow. Middle position leads out for $100. The big blind calls all in, and we do end up making the call. We're not totally loving this because we could easily be outkicked, but I think our hand is just a little bit too strong just to fold to 1 donk lead here. We also don't love that it's a super dry flop because there really aren't any draws that he could be shoving with, so I don't expect to win this hand too often. So we are going to proceed with caution. Like I said, the big blind does shove all in for less, so now we're heads up for some side action. The turn is the 5 of spades, and he shoves all in for $220. We think for a little bit, reluctantly make the call, and he ends up having ace 4 for 2 pair, but we do end up hitting the river. That beautiful 9 of clubs on the river gives us a better 2 pair. So that was definitely a lucky one for us. So here we look down at 6-7 offsuit. The cutoff limps in for $3, and we make it $15 on the button. This is a little bit of a loose open, but sometimes when you win a lot of pots, you get happy tilt. Let me know in the comments if you guys have ever experienced this. When you're on a good run, sometimes you just want to play more hands. I could have definitely folded this, but yeah, we decided to open it up here. If there were multiple limpers or a limp from early position, I definitely would have folded, but because the cutoff is going to have a pretty wide range, I did think that it wasn't too bad to isolate here. Yeah, it is important though when you are on happy tilt, you have to understand when you should be pumping the brakes, and this is probably one of those spots. Small blind, big blind, and the cutoff limper do end up making the call. We're 4-weighted the flop. The flop is 10-5 deuce rainbow. Since it is such a dry board and we only have 7 high, we do have some backdoor straight equity. I decided to c-bet here $25. I could just check back here, but I'm telling a story of strength. I want to continue that story, and I only have 7 high, like I said, so I'm never winning this pot. Again, since I only have 7 high, I know that if I check this flop, I'm just checking and giving up. There's no way I can call a bet, and it's going to be really hard for me to win unless I go runner straight or something like that. We go 25, the big blind ends up calling, and we're heads up to the turn. 8 of hearts on the turn, bringing in a heart flush draw, but we did turn open-ended straight draw, so we did turn some equity. So the turn is the 8 of hearts, bringing in a flush draw, but now we've turned open-ended straight draw. Normally, this is a spot where I definitely would continuation bet since I turned equity, but I saw that the big blind was already like cutting out chips for a bet, and so I decided to just check here, hoping to realize my equity and maybe get the chance to bluff some rivers if I do end up bricking. River was the 4 of diamonds, giving us our straight. This is such a good opportunity for me to get some value because it's really hard for him to put me on 6-7. The big blind ends up betting $120, and now the question is, what sizing do I go to get the most value? And I decided that an all-in was the best decision, so I go all in, and he ends up calling. So we scoop a nice big, roughly $1,000 pot there. This session's going pretty well so far. I am running pretty well and winning some pretty big pots for this little 1-3 game. And that's a wrap. We decide to wrap up this session a pretty big winner.
You are. I'm staying away from tequila shots.
Don't forget, I still have a massive stack at the 5-5-20 game at the other table, so that game got started again. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you don't miss that next video. See how that game ends up as well. So in the 1-3 game, we were in for 300, out for 1580 with a profit of $1,280. Thanks again for watching, guys. See you on the next video. Bye.